transferred to Manchester United now.
Football predictions.
If Barbara Rangers nil, Ipswich Town 1.
Football predictions.
Hi, it's Peter Guest, and I'm here with the Moose for another episode of the footballpredictions.net podcast, covering Premier League games for the 25th and 26th of January 2025. And you can see all the details for the matches we're about to discuss in this podcast in the website footballpredictions.net, along with the fixtures from just about every other football competition in the world from A to Z.
Yes, and on our website, it will show you where to watch the games on local broadcast channels, plus video streaming services, as well as team news and match odds from local bookmakers. Look in the description of this podcast episode for direct clickable links to all of the matches we are about to discuss. If you're streaming any matches on Bet365, geolocation and live streaming rules apply. 18 plus, gamble aware.
Right, we're kicking off with an interesting one. Wolves in 17th, taking on Arsenal up in second. And it kicks off on Saturday, the 25th of Jan at 3 p.m. UK time. For this game, footballpredictions.net provides your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available viewing options. Well, Wolves haven't been going very well lately, and Arsenal have.
Yes, Arsenal unbeaten now since that defeat at Newcastle, which was in the beginning of November. So in the Premier League, we're now looking at 12 matches undefeated. However, Arsenal do tend to drop a few points on the draws, and that's costing them because obviously when we're having a 3-point system, to just get 1 point from the draws, they just lose a little bit of lead on Liverpool, or they could have caught up on Liverpool indeed, who's also had a few draws. But yeah, if we started Arsenal obviously chasing Liverpool at the top of the table. They're now 6 points off Liverpool. They got and Liverpool has got one game in hand. So yeah, they really do need to win matches like these. Their form in the Premier League, like we said, 12 matches now undefeated. Last time out, though, a bit disappointing because Arsenal at home to Aston Villa were 2-0 up, and then it ended 2-2. So, yeah, they dropped 2 points there from a winning position. In the Champions League, though, Arsenal were not messing around midweek. They beat Dinamo Zagreb 3-0 and are now safely through in the Champions League as well there, so they can relax in the last game that they have at Girona. But yeah, back to the Premier League, and if we look at their away form this season, again, like I said, the last defeat was at Newcastle. That was an away game. It takes now their away form to 6 games undefeated, and Arsenal have some interesting results here because in between some great thumping wins like 5-2 at West Ham, 5-1 at Palace, you also have 1-1 draws at Fulham, at Brighton, and at Chelsea. So yeah, there's a tendency for Arsenal to drop points away from home. Now Wolves, on the other hand, Wolves are desperate for a win or for points at the bottom of the table. They're equal on points with Ipswich, who are below the relegation zone. It's only goal difference that is separating the two sides. So yeah, any point counts here. They just have 16 points all season. They obviously got rid of Gary O'Neill. They got Pereira in. That had a little bit of an effect. But now Wolves are back to losing ways. They lost their last 3 games, and they have a very tough fixture list because they're playing top teams only for the next 5 matches as well. But yeah, a 3-0 home defeat to Forest, 3-0 away to Newcastle, and then 3-1 on Monday night away to Chelsea. And we have to say that result at Chelsea we had spot on because we predicted Chelsea to beat Wolves 3-1 in that game. But yeah, overall, Wolves, when they do play the better teams in the league, and Wolves did have a tricky start to the season because they did have a really tough schedule, and they actually started the Premier League season at Arsenal. They lost 2-0 in that fixture. And yeah, how do we think this game is going to go?
Yeah, well, in this one, we think that Arsenal will come away with the points. They have been, like you said, they've been a bit iffy lately. Wolves do need a win. Of course, they're getting quite desperate, but it's hard to look past Arsenal. So we've gone for them for the win. Odds there you can get at 1.45. But what we like better than that is both teams to score prediction, and that's our tip here. And you can get much better odds of 1.91 for both teams to score. Wolves being at home, we think that's highly likely. For the correct score prediction, we do think it'll be close, but we think Arsenal will just get what they need and grind out a 2-1 win. So that's what we've gone for. And on the site, people vote, and 64% of you tend to agree. Only 11% of people think that Wolves will get a home win. If you did like a home win for Wolves, which would be a real turn up for the books, you can get odds of 7. That's 6-1. So yeah, if you think that Wolves can do it, that could be something of interest to you. But yeah, 2-1 to Arsenal, we think. Next, we've got Brighton and Hove Albion in 9th, who take on Everton, who are down in 16th. And this one's on Saturday, the 25th of Jan at 3 p.m. UK time. And click the link in the description. You'll see your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available viewing options. Brighton have found some form finally.
Brighton have found some form, but I think let's start at Everton, because Everton recorded a rare win and even rare goals. They scored 3 goals against Spurs last weekend, and won that game 3-2. It got a bit close in the end. Spurs could, if they had continued till another 10 minutes, Spurs would probably have got a draw. But yeah, Everton got their win in the end. But prior to that, wow, Everton had scored in just 2 of their previous 11 matches. So yeah, maybe a bit of David Moyes effect there. But let's see how that transpires to this game against Brighton, because that is an away game, and away from home, Everton has only had 1 win all season, and they've also really struggled for goals. Last 6 matches, they've scored just 1 goal. That was a 1-1 draw at Man City, but still just 1 goal across the last 6 away matches. But yeah, Guesty, like you said, Brighton, they're back on winning ways. They did have 8 matches in the Premier League without a win. Now you can look at that 2 ways, because at the same time, we can flip this around and say that Brighton's only also now lost 2 from their last 12. But yeah, they have 2 wins from their last 2 games now in the Prem. One was at Ipswich, which was probably a bit predictable. We actually predicted under 2.5 goals and a Brighton win in that Ipswich game. Then they went to Man United and beat them actually quite convincingly 3-1. So Brighton's looking really good again. They're 9th in the Premier League table. They're just 4 points from Man City in 5th. And yeah, they're looking very promising going into this game against an Everton side that, like we said, really struggle away from home.
Yeah, and for that reason, we've gone for the Brighton win. Odds you can get there at the moment anyway of 1.67. We also think, though, that maybe Everton will be able to grab a goal here. And so we have gone for both teams to score tip. And the odds there actually 1.91. So that's a bit better. Maybe they've got their shooting boots on now, and we'll be able to score 1. At least that's what we're hoping. Calvert-Lewin broke his duck finally, didn't he? He got his goal. Yep. And it had been a long time for him. But yeah, Dr. Tottenham sorted that out for him. But anyway, for the correct score here, we've gone for actually a bit of a thumping. We've gone for 3-1 to Brighton, that is. And the odds on that you can get are very juicy indeed. 15 or 14-1 you can get for a 3-1 correct scoreline. So, yeah, that's what we're going with in that game. Next, we've got Bournemouth, who are in 7th, who take on Nottingham Forest, who are way up in 3rd. Could they do a Leicester? It kicks off on Saturday, the 25th of Jan at 3 p.m. UK time kickoff. And look on footballpredictions.net in the clickable link in the description to find your localized kickoff time, odds, TV channels, and streaming services. These are a couple of sides that don't have many losses recently, do they?
Wow, I think that the two biggest surprises in the Premier League this season has got to be Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest, especially if you look at the most recent form. Because if we look at Bournemouth, unbeaten in the last 10 Premier League matches now, 6 wins and 4 draws. And then we've got Forest, even more impressive. Over their last 8 games, they have 7 wins, 1 draw, and over the past 10 games, just 1 defeat. They have 8 wins, 1 draw, and just 1 defeat over the last 10 games. That is, as you said, Guesty, that is actually championship form right there. Could they do in Leicester? I mean, Forest is still 6 points off Liverpool, and have Liverpool who've got a game in hand. But this is really, really impressive stuff from both sides. And talking about impressive results, Bournemouth were playing Newcastle last weekend. And don't forget that Newcastle, going into that game, had 6 straight wins in the Premier League, had conceded just 1 goal at Tottenham. And then Bournemouth goes to St. James's Park and beat them 4-1. So that was a really, really impressive result by Bournemouth in that game. We had over 2.5 goals as our main prediction for that game. So that was a solid prediction. And then prior to that, we had both teams to score in the Bournemouth game at Chelsea. Now for Forest, we had them down as winners against Southampton, but we did also have both teams to score in that game. They won that game 3-2. And yeah, in general, these are two informed sides. This is going to be a really, really interesting game. It's going to be really interesting to see how both of them are getting on. It's going to be a tight game between two informed teams.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, going down to Bournemouth is no easy task, especially when they're in form like they are at the moment. But did you know that Bournemouth haven't lost a league game with Forest in their last 9? So quite a long unbeaten run against them, yeah. And so we'll have to see where it goes, but we think they might continue that and burst Forest's bubble a little bit in terms of their championship push. So we think it'll be a Bournemouth win. Bold prediction maybe, but this is the Nuno train's got to stop at some point, at least take a break, and we think Bournemouth might be able to get there. Bournemouth to win, odds of 2.05. But we've gone for an under 2.5 goals prediction, so we think it will be quite a tight one. And odds you can get for that are currently at 2. For a correct score, we think it'll be just a single goal that makes the difference in this game, and we think it will be scored by the home side. So we've gone for a 1-0 correct score prediction. Odds of that you can get at the moment of 9.5. So just looking at our site as well, on the link in the description, you can click through to it and vote. 46% of you voting think it'll be a Bournemouth win, and 25% Forest, with the rest a draw. Yeah, it could be a really good game. I'll definitely be watching that one. Correct score prediction 1-0. Next, we've got Southampton, who are taking on, they're bottom of the table, but they're taking on Newcastle United, who are in 6th. And this is on Saturday, a 3 p.m. kickoff on the 25th of Jan. Visit footballpredictions.net to view your local kickoff time, odds, and broadcast streaming channels for this match. Well, Southampton can't win, and Newcastle had a loss.
Newcastle will certainly look at this game in order to get back to winning ways. Like we just covered Bournemouth. Bournemouth had that impressive result at Newcastle because prior to that, Newcastle did have 6 straight wins in the Premier League, conceded just 1 goal during that sequence. And then they did have, of course, the FA Cup game. They also had an EFL Cup 2-0 win at Arsenal, so which was probably a bit more impressive than the 3-1 home win against Bromley, where they actually went a goal down. But yeah, overall, Newcastle's form had been pretty impressive until that game against Bournemouth, who really stopped them in their tracks there. 4-1 defeat. But they're going to a Southampton team here who, wow, are really struggling at the bottom of the Premier League and are probably already making plans for next season in the Championship. But you never know. And mathematically, of course, Southampton is still in it. And to be fair to Southampton, they have actually played pretty well against both Man United and Nottingham Forest last weekend. At Man United, they were leading 1-0 until the 82nd minute. And then Ahmad scored a hat-trick for the home team. We did have
completely undeserved, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. In fact, Southampton were playing very well in that game. We had United down for a win in that game, a narrow 2-1 win. And to be fair, that was a close prediction. Ended 3-1, and Amad Diallo's last goal was in the 94th minute. But yeah, outcome United and both teams to score. We also had outcome Forest and both teams to score when Southampton went there and lost 3-2. But what we're saying here is Southampton has got a game in them. They have got a goal in them recently. They've had put in a couple of good performances. Newcastle conceding 4 last week. They want to get back to winning ways, but we don't think it's going to be an easy task.
No, we don't. We think Newcastle will get the win here, even though it's away. And they had that big loss last week, but I think that was a bit of a shock to the system for them. We think they'll recover. And it's the best place to recover, isn't it, Southampton? They've been in terrible, terrible form, except they did play really, really well against Manchester United. Or is that just because Manchester United aren't that good anymore? We don't know. So we'll find out in this game. Newcastle to win, odds of 1.42. But we've gone here, something a bit more interesting, is both teams to score. That's our tip for this one. Odds there you can get 1.67, so not that much better actually. For the correct score, we have gone for an away win 2-1. So Southampton 1, Newcastle 2. And correct score odds at the moment there are 9. or 8-1. Newcastle to win on our poll on the website. 68% of you agree and think that it'll be a Newcastle away win. Hard to look past that really at the moment, isn't it? To our summary matches now. We've got Liverpool, top of the table, taking on Ipswich Town in 18th. It kicks off on the 25th of Jan. That's another Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. And for this one, we've gone for a Liverpool win, and we've gone for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. So we've gone for a correct score prediction of 3-1 to Liverpool.
Yes, and then the late kickoff on Saturday, the 25th of January at 5:30 UK time. We've got Manchester City in 5th, taking on Chelsea in 4th. So yeah, really battle of the Champions League spots here. And this game you can watch live on Sky Sports Main Event if you are based in the UK. Now for this game, we are going for a both teams to score prediction, a home win, so Man City win of 3-1. So 3-1 on the correct score.
Next up, we have Spurs, who are in 15th, taking on Leicester, who are in 19th. This one's on Sunday, the 26th of Jan at 2 p.m. UK time kickoff. And for this game, well, we did see Tottenham win against Hoffenheim during the week. They really are playing with a second 11 at the moment. For something like 14 injuries, it's getting ridiculous. But we still think they're going to come out on top against Leicester. And we think it'll be both teams to score, though, because Spurs do usually concede at least one goal in the game. And we've gone for a correct score prediction of 3-1 to Tottenham.
Yes, and then we move on to Crystal Palace in 12th, who takes on Brentford in 11th. This game also kicks off at Sunday, 26th of January, 2 o'clock UK time. Now for this game, we're going with a narrow home win for Palace. So a Palace win, an under 2.5 goal prediction, and a correct score of 1-0 Palace.
Next up, we've got Aston Villa in 8th, who take on West Ham, who are in 14th. This one's on Sunday, the 26th of January at 4:30 p.m. afternoon kickoff time, and it's on Sky Sports, this one. For this game, we think it'll be a Villa win at home, and that should be too strong for West Ham. We've gone for both teams to score, though, with a correct score prediction of 3-1.
Yes, and then finally, a bit of an unusual kickoff time here between Fulham in 10th and Manchester United in 13th, because this game kicks off Sunday, 26th of January at 7 o'clock. If you're based in the UK, you can watch it live on TNT Sports. Now for this game, we are going with a both teams to score prediction and an outcome of Fulham to win, correct score 2-1 Fulham. In the description section of this podcast, you'll find links to the matches we've just covered, or visit footballpredictions.net. That way you can have a look at the online places to watch the games from your location via streaming and TV channels, our tips for different betting markets, team news, plus the latest offers and odds.
You may be interested to know that we record football podcasts for additional comps as well as the Premier League, and you can listen to them all at podcast.footballpredictions.net, or where you access your favourite podcasts from, such as Apple, YouTube and Spotify. Well, that's it. Thank you for listening, and until the next time, it is
goodbye.
Bye now.
A football prediction.